Are you afraid to use an ultra wide lens? I mean, this lens can create some pretty weird, distracting images. But it can also create immersive and memorable ones. So today I'm going to talk through why ultra wide lenses are some of the most used focal lengths in our kit, whether we're shooting architecture, adventure, or even portraits. I'm Brenda of the Foreground, and today I'll talk through what ultra-wide lenses are for, mistakes to avoid, and share some of my favorite composition tips for making images with this lens. Composition tips that work both generally, and then I'll make it specific for portraits, landscapes, and architecture. So first, generally, I consider ultra-wide lenses anything around 24 millimeters and wider on a full frame. So think 20 millimeters, 18 millimeters, 60 millimeters, or even wider. And as you'll learn, the key to ultra-wide lenses is intentional composition. So let's talk about what this lens is for. Wide lenses can exaggerate perspective, stretch distance, and emphasize foreground. So they're popular for landscapes, architecture, environmental portraits, and even in action and adventure. They're useful if you're working in small spaces, but they're definitely risky because they can distort things pretty easily. One of the reasons that I love ultra-wide lenses is that they make the viewer feel present. They don't just show a subject, they place you in the environment with the subject. So let's talk through some common mistakes to avoid. Most of the mistakes people make with ultra-wide lenses revolve around distortion. Noses get big in portraits, stretched hands near the edges, foreground exaggeration. And a lot of people think that wide lenses distort because the lens is bad, but most distortion actually comes from distance and perspective. The closer you get, the more exaggerated things become. So, number one, keep everything level and square. One of the most common mistakes photographers make when shooting with ultra-wide lenses is not keeping things level and square. And things get warped really quickly if you're off angle. This is especially true if there are strong verticals in the frame. Architecture for sure, any buildings or walls, but even things like trees can look really weird. So the trick is simply to square up to your scene and make sure you're shooting level both right to left and up and down. So that can be really helpful to use a tripod or put the grid lines on the back of your screen, or you can do what I do and sometimes have somebody else watch me and tell me, hey, you're tilted up a little bit, because sometimes I cannot figure it out by myself. But with some practice, you'll start to be able to see when things are level and make adjustments on your own. So the next most common mistake is not minding the edges of the frame. Distortion is going to be worse near the edges, like I said, so make sure that nothing important is over there. You don't want any distractions near the edge of the frame because they will draw your eye too much. And we'll talk about that specifically for portraits and architecture in the next section. But first, number three, mind your distance. I alluded to this before. Don't be afraid to get close though. After all, that's what's great about this wide frame. We want to get close, we want to work in tight spaces, but the closer you get, the more distorted things are going to look. So big noses, crazy facial features, weird foreground elements. At the same time, don't stand too far away, because if your frame is too big and your subject is too small, they're gonna get lost in the scene. And so this is where you really have to rely on your compositional skills. So let's talk about those next. Number one, move your feet. This is more of a technique than a tip, and you've heard it before, but practice getting closer to your subject. Get closer and closer and closer and closer until you're too close, and then back up and find an appropriate distance. One of the things that I love about a wide lens is that I can get a variety of images without changing focal length. I can get super close to my subject, I can find a medium distance, or I can get far. But regardless of your distance, composition still matters. So number two, simplify. Ultra wides can show everything. You can't rely on background blur or that tight field of view. Ultra wides are like a big window, and if you have a big window on the front of your house, you can see everything, or even worse, everyone can see everything in. So if the scene is busy, the environment is distracting, or you want a simple, clean portrait, the ultra wide might not be the right choice. For example, in portraits, you might be more inclined to grab an 85. But ultra wides do work, and they work best when the environment is part of the story. So speaking of busy scenes, that includes light. Number three, pay attention to the light. Not just the light on your subject, but on your background. With ultra-wide lenses, the entire scene is visible. So you want to be really intentional about what you're including and what you're excluding, because those bright spots on the background will be a distraction. So let's break it down now by category and first talk about those landscape and adventure shots. And here we're going to talk a lot about foreground and layering. Including foreground in ultra-wide landscape shots is critical. Think layering, layering, layering. Foreground, middle ground, background. Because if you don't think about it, everything will just clutter and blend. And foreground is the one thing that if you just start doing that, it will instantly anchor your images. So use rocks, flowers, texture, leading lines, etc. And this ultra-wide perspective is so fun to play with because it communicates scale. It shows depth and it immerses your viewer in the scene. That's why these lenses are great for environmental storytelling, because they show more of the scene. So ultra-wide lenses might make those mountains feel far away and the scenery is vast, but the mountains might be small. And that's because we stand close to our subjects when we're using those wide-angle lenses. Versus telephoto lenses are going to do the opposite. They're going to compress that distance and they're going to make those background elements feel larger and closer. And this is actually because of how we use the lenses and where we stand when we're using them. I explain that more in our free focal length field guide, so make sure you grab that in the link below just to learn more about when to use wide and when to use telephoto in your landscape. So let's move on to portraits. An ultra wide may not be the first lens you think to grab with portraits, but it works really well when the environment is part of the story. You're just gonna have to think about it differently. So instead of isolating your subject like you would with a telephoto lens, the ultra wide lenses place your subject inside of the scene. This can feel really immersive and dynamic, especially for travel, adventure, documentary, or those environmental portraits. But again, portraits are where distortion becomes really obvious. So if you get too close, noses, hands, legs, or anything that's closer to the camera will start stretching in weird ways. And if you place people too close to the edges of the frame, those faces and bodies will distort pretty quickly. So center composition is safer with an ultra wide portrait, especially if you're photographing people close to the camera. You'll also want to simplify the environment that you're in because wide lenses show everything. Those background distractions, messy edges, or bright highlights become much harder to ignore. One thing I love about ultra-wide portraits is the sense of presence that they create. The viewer doesn't just see the subject, they feel like they're standing there with them. So let's talk about architecture, because architecture is one of the most common uses for ultra-wide lenses because they help you show more of a space, especially in small rooms or tight environments. But architecture is also one of the easiest places to notice distortion. And one of the biggest mistakes photographers make is assuming that wider is always better. Sometimes backing up a little bit and shooting at 20 or 24 creates a much more natural looking image than going extremely wide. But sometimes you genuinely do need that ultra wide to capture the entire scene, especially in tight interiors. So the trick becomes balancing how much of the room you show with how natural you want it to feel. You'll also want to pay close attention to the vertical lines. If you tilt your camera up, even just a little, walls and buildings can start to feel like they're falling backwards. Corners are another area to watch carefully because distortion gets exaggerated. So furniture, countertops, cabinets, walls, anything near the edge of the frame can stretch in weird ways and just look weird. Finally, paying attention to the camera height helps too, because even moving the camera up or down a foot can completely change how balanced and natural a room feels. Architecture photography works best when the composition feels clean, balanced, and intentional. So I'm curious, what do you shoot most and what are your challenges when shooting with the ultra wide lens? Let me know in the comments below. Ultra wide lenses force you to think differently, and they reward photographers who pay attention to every part of the frame. When used well, they can create images that feel immersive, dynamic, and deeply connected to place. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.